Regarde.
Mais je pense
si
qu'on
on
va
a
monter
ça,
quand même.
ou je peux
Ah,
savoir
évidemment, de
comme
hauteur.
ça. Ok, ça te va? Doucement. Stop.
Encore. C'est bon.
Good evening, everyone. Maintaining our railway infrastructure is a constant responsibility and a daily challenge to guarantee the network's reliable and safe operation. Today, we're focusing on the maintenance carried out on the rails themselves. Based here in Bussigny, the Scheuchzer company is commissioning a brand new hybrid vehicle dedicated to grinding, marking a significant step forward in innovation. It's the first of its kind in the world. Welcome to Rail 1, where today we take an exclusive immersive look at the GRIZZLY 108E.
Bonjour Thierry. Bonjour Mathis.
What exactly is the function of this train, the GRIZZLY 108E?
The GRIZZLY 108E is a grinding train for various railway track components. In practical terms, its job is to effectively correct wear issues and prevent the development of structural fatigue defects in the rails.
So why did you choose such a special name, the GRIZZLY, and the number 108?
Well, it's a long-standing and deep-rooted tradition in the company. We've always tried to give friendly names to our machines to encourage crews to relate to them more easily, strengthening team spirit in the process. When it came to a grinding train, we needed a powerful, imposing animal, which is why we chose the name GRIZZLY.
And what does the number 108 stand for?
So 108, because it is actually the 8th grinding machine we've built.
So it started from 101, I imagine.
The series began in 1997 with the GRIZZLY 101.
There's also the little E that gets added right after the number 108. Regular viewers of the show will know that this usually indicates the type of engine. Is that the case here as well?
That's right. The GRIZZLY 108E is the world's very first grinding train to be powered in a specialized hybrid way. This means it can run on a standard diesel engine or use electricity drawn directly from the overhead catenary lines.
We imagine that if the decision was made to build it, a need must have arisen.
Indeed, the constant need for grinding is directly linked to heavy traffic, which causes significant wear on track components. From 2022, we noticed that this specific need was steadily increasing. The network maintenance policy also evolved quite a bit during this time, so we eventually decided to start building this specialized machine.
So how do you plan a project like this?
Actually, the process begins with drafting a thorough and detailed set of specifications. We strive to carefully match the needs and requirements of the market by clearly defining these specifications. In this particular case, market demand is shifting towards the adoption of hybrid machines, mainly for good environmental reasons. The entire working part of the machine, meaning everything directly related to the tools, is based on a technology that was already thoroughly understood and well mastered by our team. For this specific machine, we mainly focused our efforts on the complex energy-related aspects of the system, particularly on the process of efficiently collecting electrical current from the overhead line to ensure a steady power supply.
Thanks, Thierry. We'll catch up with you later in the program in Orsières during the practical tests to go over the technical details of this new grinding train. See you soon.
See you soon.
Before entering service, as a matter of procedure, every newly built vehicle must go through the so-called approval stage, a series of tests certifying that the machine meets safety requirements.
We add this weight for approval so that the machine is tested under load conditions. In other words, we have to simulate the maximum mass the machine will have during its working phase. For example, here you can see the dust it will extract during operation, and we simulate that with ballast.
And the weighing training stage doesn't take place on Scheuchzer's premises. Instead, we head over to the Matisa company, also located in the municipality of Bussigny. Pulled by Rhino number 2, the GRIZZLY has to make its way among regular trains passing through the station. We are currently carrying out a shunting maneuver. At a significantly reduced speed, we take a service track that leads us directly to the specialized facilities of Matisa, the company commissioned by the Federal Office of Transport to certify these construction vehicles. The train is now carefully positioned on a track equipped with a weighing system.
So we weigh the machine at this stage so we can accurately calculate important metrics, including things like the braking distance, the left to right weight distribution, and the clearance height.
This new construction machine has been in development for over 2 years. Dozens of people, each with their own expertise, have worked tirelessly to create it from scratch, from the chassis to the roof, from electrical systems to mechanics. Some unique know-how.
Hello, my name is Florent. I've been a fabrication welder at Scheuchzer for 2.5 years, working on the GRIZZLY 108E project, welding everything from driving supports to cab supports, basically all the welding on the machine. And these welds are certified, which means every detail really matters. So we are qualified personnel, and there's no room for error. These welds have to be 100% reliable.
Another crucial step we wanted to follow is the twisting test, an essential structural assessment. So no, we're not going to determine whether the train is more left-handed or right-leaning. First, the entire vehicle is carefully raised in order to position the hydraulic jacks. This twisting test involves deliberately twisting the train's chassis, putting the structure to the test. This allows us to check that the structure deforms sufficiently to handle any irregularities in the track. If the structure is too rigid, it could lead to a dangerous derailment when the vehicle is subjected to strong mechanical stresses.
Twisting tests are used to ensure the machine safety against derailment, which is a critical safety requirement. We monitor the unloading of the wheels on the left and right sides, for example, when the machine is twisted as it moves along the track.
We've just seen several tests that are essential here for certification. Nicolas, hello.
Bonjour Mathis.
You're responsible for this part for Scheuchzer. What does approval entail?
Approval is the official regulatory process in Switzerland that allows the FOT, the Federal Office of Transport, to validate and issue the formal authorization required for us to operate the train on the Swiss railway network.
So, I guess it's really essential in order to operate the vehicle?
In fact, if we don't get this approval, the train cannot be operated and it cannot run on the railway network. So, approval allows us to validate the technical and safety aspects of the train and to ensure that the train fully complies with the standards so that it can be used on the Swiss railway network.
This is a brand new vehicle, so the document has to be created for the first time. Is it final, or does it have to be renewed regularly?
In fact, this document remains on board the train throughout its entire life, because the train first receives a provisional approval, and then once all the tests have been successfully completed and all the technical and safety documents are submitted to the FOT, the train will receive its final operating permit. But during the train's operational lifetime, technical modifications and upgrades may be made to improve performance or safety. In such cases, if these are significant, the train must seek a new operating permit. To do so, we have to request this new approval from the Federal Office of Transport, which will officially permit the train to be modified in accordance with the law and current standards, and will enable Scheuchzer to operate it fully legally.
Regarding the Federal Office of Transport, we expected to see their staff here today for the approval process. Why aren't they here?
Well, the Federal Office of Transport does not actually come on site during the tests. First, because we document our tests with a comprehensive safety file, which is the specific document that is validated by the Federal Office of Transport. And second, when we conduct tests, for example here with the Matiza company, we validate the tests with companies that are themselves fully certified for this approval process. In the event of a problem, the FOT can refer the issues to external companies. And it is these companies that come on site to validate any concepts that seem to be incorrect or that pose a problem for approval.
Approval is an absolutely essential step in authorizing a vehicle on the railway network. Thank you very much, Nicolas.
Thank you.
See you soon. Welcome to Valais, Orsières, which will in just a few seconds be the stage for the very first grinding tests. It is here, on the Transport Martigny and Region network, that the team is working to complete the commissioning of the GRIZZLY 108E. A few details still need to be sorted out. Everyone gets into position, and the authorization to put the train into operation has been granted.
Ok, alors on a avancé.
The GRIZZLY will be working on the central track. Now don't worry, this brand new Flirt Evo won't receive a single spark. So all that's left is to position the grinding wheels on the rail and watch closely to see what happens. Salut Thierry.
Salut Mathis.
We saw you at the start of the show next to the machine in Bussigny, introducing the GRIZZLY while it was still under construction. Now that it's operational, can you tell us a bit more about it?
The GRIZZLY 108E is a track component grinding machine. It consists of a heavy-duty locomotive, which is responsible for generating the necessary electrical power and pulling the entire machine, and then an articulated assembly made up of 2 grinding wagons that perform the machine's primary work.
How many grinding wheels do the 2 grinding wagons have exactly?
The GRIZZLY 108E is a track component maintenance train with a total of 22 grinding wheels.
Maybe that sounds like quite a lot. We're not really sure, are we?
In absolute terms, no. It's possible for a large mainline grinding train to have up to 82 wheels. In other words, 22 wheels are more than sufficient for the work this machine is designed for.
You've been telling us about a train that's dedicated to track components. Just to clarify, what does that mean?
The function of a track component is to ensure the safe and proper guidance of the train when it is changing from one set of tracks to another.
So it's a switch, basically.
That's right, it is a railway switch. So it is vital that the rail geometry in those specific areas is monitored and controlled. It needs to be maintained regularly with the profile corrected, longitudinal defects fixed, and any surface cracks eliminated.
And I suppose you have various other types of machines when it comes to the mainline track, where there are no possible track changes.
As a matter of fact, we have machines that are specifically designed for the mainline track, where what we're looking for is mainly high performance power and efficiency.
So this train here is a world first. It's hybrid, operating both on diesel and electric power. That being said, why was it necessary to include the electric aspect on this brand new train?
These are machines that consume a lot of energy, and as a result, until now, we have relied on conventional diesel fuel sources in extremely large quantities, since they are such powerful machines. However, it was our desire to significantly lower our carbon emissions, specifically for railway work, while maintaining operational performance, that led us to design an entirely new zero-emission-free machine.
So is it particularly complicated to switch from thermal to electric and vice versa?
It's a technology that is very similar in nature to the systems used for electric locomotives on passenger trains, but it had to be specifically adapted for the specific use on this machine, particularly to accommodate the extremely slow operational working speeds of around 2 to 3 kilometers per hour. Since we work on railway switches, there are many areas where we may have to lower the pantograph system. So we need to be able to provide power to the machine very quickly without the pantograph. So there are still some fairly significant technical adaptations required.
And Orsières is without a doubt the ideal place for all these electric diesel switching tests and for the grinding wheel adjustments.
Indeed, we are still in the initial adjustment phase as things currently stand, and we still have two critical and essential elements to fine-tune: adjusting the machine for its upcoming work, as well as configuring the converters for traction.
Thanks, Thierry, for these explanations, and see you on Rail 1.
See you soon.
Night has now fallen here in Valais, and the Martigny-Orsières-Le Châble line will gradually empty of its trains. In just a few more minutes, we will reach the end of service for the day. For now, just like the train waiting quietly here to my left. And once the line is completely closed to commercial traffic, the GRIZZLY 108E will be able to enter for one of its final commissioning phases later tonight in this quiet nighttime setting. In fact, it's the dress rehearsal for the work under real conditions to see what works and what doesn't in preparation for upcoming projects. So we'll be following all of this. And to reach the work site that will be the stage for the various operations scheduled for tonight, the GRIZZLY 108E is being hauled by the Rhino. As you just saw, that's the coupling procedure. The convoy will now head directly towards Sembrancher. Once there, the Rhino will reposition itself on the opposite side before heading towards Le Châble to reach tonight's final destination. We've just arrived at the work site. Jonathan, what are the steps ahead of us tonight?
So tonight we're going to adjust the grinding instruments, the grinding trolleys, as part of the final setup. More specifically, we'll check whether the grinding wheels are behaving properly on the rail when being raised and lowered, as well as the amperage and the grinding intensity applied to the rail.
So these are the very last tests before starting the actual projects for clients. When you look at it practically, from your experience, is there a standardized process that you follow when you arrive on site to redo the track?
The standard procedure is that we reach the track, we have a briefing before starting work with the site manager who tells us exactly what needs to be done, how many track components there are, and whether there is track work to be done. Once everything is clarified, from there we arrive and get set up. They block off the section of track we need to work on, then we prepare the machine, get it ready for work, and uncouple it. After that, we're on our own. We can work on designated sections that are restricted, which we must not pass.
Earlier, Thierry explained that this machine was dedicated to track components. Yet here tonight, these tests are being carried out on the mainline track, on a line with no switches at all. Why is that?
Because we haven't yet carried out all the tests with obstacles, so at this point in the process we're doing this on the mainline track where there aren't too many obstacles and where we're just raising and lowering the wheels in order to avoid any risks for now.
How does the machine detect obstacles? Is it automatic or does someone monitor it? How does it work?
Right at the start of the work, someone walks the track and with a spray carefully marks all the obstacles that could be hit by the grinding wheels or anything else, which is a crucial step before any grinding begins. The team then sets off together and we have a whole programming table where we manually enter our obstacles. For each individual obstacle, there is a corresponding button on the console, and then from there, the grinding wheels follow movements predefined in the programs. The carriage moves either inside or outside, or the wheels are even lifted up completely. After the first pass, everything is recorded in the system. Then we can go back and forth without touching anything else, just making sure that everything moves correctly.
To recap, how many grinding wheels does the train have, and how often do they need to be replaced?
On the train we have a total of 22 individual grinding wheels. As a general rule, we replace them 2 or even 3 times over the course of the night.
Is it easy to replace a grinding wheel?
It's actually quite simple. In fact, it's just a matter of getting used to it. It's true that newcomers need a little bit of practice, but it's quite easy to change, yes.
We saw your colleague step directly onto the track. So here, we're on a single track. There's no traffic next to us. But this could also be done with a train passing by next to you at high speed. In that situation, what safety measures are taken to make sure he's not really at risk while performing this operation?
So, every single detail is coordinated with the safety supervisor, who is more often than not from SBB or sometimes from an external company. Either they manage to block off and secure the track, they coordinate with the station and close the adjacent track, or there are often dedicated safety protection staff who step onto the track with remote controls and they will deploy alarms remotely.
What is the biggest challenge with this train overall when it comes to getting the job done correctly?
Well, the most significant challenge with a brand new train like this is meticulously managing the whole pantograph section, which is technically demanding. And then there's the entire grinding part, taking care of the grinding tables and adjustments.
From what you're saying, it sounds like you need to be versatile and work in any position. Is everyone assigned a spot, or can you step in for someone at any time?
No, generally people are versatile. They have to know how to work in any position. The machine supervisor is the same, and each person knows how to operate every position on the machine.
What's this? Is it all the debris ground off the rail?
Yes, metal and fine grinding debris that accumulates and forms blocks like these, as you can see, which we have to collect as much as possible.
For every meter of track you work on, you need to go behind to check everything is fine?
We perform that task on the final pass. Everyone gets off, the machine operator and 2 other crew members, and then remove as much residue from the track as possible.
How much distance do you typically cover in one night?
We generally perform maintenance on track components, but with a machine like the one we have here, we usually take sections of about 500 meters at a time. Otherwise, our grinding wheels tend to wear out faster than those on other trains, because we have much smaller wheels, and over longer distances they simply wear down much more quickly than usual. It all depends on the condition of the track. If it's brand new track, it holds up well. However, if it's track where we have to apply a bit more pressure, the grinding force is stronger and the wheels wear out much faster.
We saw a lot of sparks on the sides of the GRIZZLY, so what's that about?
We haven't yet installed all the spark reduction equipment, the spark guards, the curtains, and so on as part of this test phase. It's just to see how the grinding wheels behave so that we can visually observe how it performs during grinding.
Right now, as we're filming, it's basically winter, so there's not much risk of fire along the tracks. But in the summer, under drier conditions, is there a need to anticipate such a risk?
Of course. So each grinding machine on every grinding train is equipped with a water system of about 10,000 liters, which allows us to extinguish any fire if one occurs, and also to wet the track before grinding, precisely to prevent these fires from starting.
And now, it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the commissioning of the GRIZZLY 108E. A big thank you for following along with us. We're nearing the end of this evening, just a few kilometers from Le Chable, and this work will continue over the coming weeks. Thank you to TMR for welcoming us for this shoot. More broadly, thanks to Scheuchzer for the collaboration, and to you for following. We'll see you very soon for new adventures on Rail 1. Ciao.